Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head down to New Zealand once again. I think this is the first time I've done a New Zealand beer for you in quite a wee while actually. But this is a brewery that I first encountered when I was down in New Zealand back in 2015, and I was very impressed with them when I first tried them. They'd only been around for about 18 months or so at the time I first reviewed their beers. So for this one we are going to go to Riwaka in Aotearoa, the southern island of New Zealand, in the Tasman region at the very north of the island, and we're going to have a taste of my second beer from Hop Federation. So this one is their Pilsner. It comes in at 5.5% and it's actually a very highly rated beer within the Pilsner category, and this one was a recommendation from one of you guys that watches the channel. Unfortunately I can't remember exactly who it was that recommended this one to me, but I do remember that recently I did a review of the OO Omnipollo Lucy Hellas beer that was released in one of the recent small partiers, and there was one of the people that commented on that video said you need to check out this beer. I've always loved the traditional German, the Munich Helles, the Dunkels and the Doppelbocks and stuff like that, and I really actually enjoyed the Lucy, but I was told that this one is kind of even better than that, so very curious to see what this beer has to offer. So yeah, I really hope you guys enjoy my take on this one, and I do thank whoever it was that gave me the recommendation. And this is what I always say, if you guys recommend me beers, I will try and make sure that I can review some of these for you here on the channel, because you guys teach me so much about beer as well, and it's always cool to pass on that information. Word of mouth is a huge thing in the craft beer industry, and the same in the beer tubing side of things as well. So yeah, very much looking forward to this one, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. I should also point out this is very highly rated within the Pilsner category. When I checked it out on Rate Beer, it has a 97 overall within the style, so within the style, not overall. So as I always say, take Rate Beer with a bit of a pinch of salt, but usually it's a fairly decent barometer on how good your beers are going to be. But yeah, let's get on with the video itself then. So as I always do, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Hop Federation before. Hopefully I can add some more in the near future. I do want to get back to New Zealand in the next couple of years. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the New Zealand beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always please do get in touch and let me know some other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, on to my brewery notes then, to tell you a little bit about Hop Federation then. So Hop Federation Brewery was founded by Simon and Nikki Nicholas in 2013 when they left their jobs in Auckland in the North Island to relocate to Riwaka in the heart of the Tasman district's hop growing region. So the brewery opened its doors in September of 2013, and they just had an initial offering of 4 different beers, but Simon is in charge of the brewing, and he was previously chief brewer at the Hallertau Brew Bar in Auckland, and he'd previously had a lengthy experience in the alcohol industry with Glengarry wines as well. New Zealand wine, of course, very, very famous, and I've said this about a number of the European countries. It tends to be the case when they do wine very well, they always tend to do their craft beer as well, and I think that's kind of the same in the case of New Zealand. I think the wine definitely came before the craft beer actually. But Nikki's in charge of the marketing and sales side of the brewery, and she strives to make the business, very kind of customer orientated. And they also want to educate people about craft beer as well. So they use a lot of different hops and things, and they give you very good descriptions of their beers on the website as well. But the brewery is apparently located on the main road to Golden Bay as well, and they also are located right in the Abel Tasman National Park and very close to the Kaiteriteri beach as well. But they have a tasting room as well at the brewery that you can go and visit, and this is where they put out a lot of their kind of experimental beers, and you can of course get the little classic things in there as well. And very recently, I think it was back in 2018, they also won an international award for this beer. This one won the Champion Pilsner at one of the big international beer festivals, and there was something along the lines of 800 different Pilsner beers actually entered into that category in the competition, and this was the one that came out on top. So I think that's very, very impressive. But as I say, the last beer I had from these guys, I forget if it was called the Riwaka IPA or Riwaka IPA, but I remember I think it had both of those hops in it, and that was really my first experience of the New Zealand hops. The New Zealand hops, they've just got this very lovely kind of distinctive, juicy, tropical, fruity quality to them. If you get the chance to go to New Zealand and try these IPAs, you know, you are going to have a hell of a good time. Wellington is widely regarded as one of the best craft beer cities in the world, and it's somewhere, again, that I really need to go and visit at some point soon. I only spent like 10 days or so in New Zealand on the North Island, but although Wellington is in the southeast corner of the North Island. But yeah, I really need to get back there and review some of the other beers and breweries that have popped up over there in the last couple of years. But this is a brewery that seems to be very, very well regarded as well. But that's all you really need to know about Hop Federation just now. As I say, a brewery that's been doing well and constantly expanding over the last couple of years. If you want to learn a little bit more, check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram as well, and that'll keep you up to date with all the latest goings on there. But as I say, I'm very pleased to be able to return to these guys after quite some time. So yeah, let's get on to the actual tasting of this beer itself. So as I mentioned to you, this one is a 5.5% Pilsner beer. It's hopped with Nelson Sauvin, which as we know is the big, you know, the big sort of green, white, grapey sort of hop. There's also Riwaka in there as well, which gives you passion fruit and kumquat as well. Kumquat is a very unusual flavour to describe. It's very, very distinctive, but it comes out in abundance when you have the Riwaka hop. And there's also Motueka in there as well, which gives you this really kind of mojito, limey quality from what I remember. Motueka, I've noticed, is appearing in a number of different European beers quite a lot recently. It always used to just be Nelson Sauvin, but we're getting a lot of breweries using Enigma, Motueka, and you know, Galaxy and things. So it is cool to see them starting to use the Australian and New Zealand hops a little bit more as they become more widely available. But yeah, let's get on to the tasting of this beer itself then. So very curious to see how this one turns out. As you can see, they've maintained this kind of style of artwork with this one. I remember when I had the first beer I had from these guys, that Rackle IPA, was in a big it was in a big bottle actually. I think it was a ½ litre that I got it in. So it's cool to see that they've gone to the cans, which are a little bit more, which are a little bit better for the environment. But it says on the side here, a crisp New Zealand style Pilsner that pours a beautiful soft golden colour. The aromas of lychee and grapefruit are plentiful thanks to Riwaka, Nelson Sauvin and Motueka hops. Perfect for every occasion. Hop Federation is a family owned craft brewery ideally situated in Riwaka in the heart of New Zealand's hop growing Tasman region. With a passion for the brewer's art and a dedication to producing seriously delicious ales, Simon and Nikki Nicholas welcome you to the world of Hop Federation craft beer. So yeah, nicely presented this one. You do get a 10, if you're in Australia, you get a 10-cent refund for the can as well, but that's not much good to us up here in Sweden. We don't even get the 1 krona pant, unfortunately. So yeah, but let's get it out and we'll get on with the tasting then. Very curious to see what this beer has to offer, and as soon as you open this up, you get the Nelson Sauvin jumping out at you right away, and there's also some of those lovely limey notes from the Motueka as well. But look at that. Absolutely beautiful looking beer this. In terms of being a Pilsner actually, you know, it reminds me of the kind of, just by looking at it, it reminds me of the unfiltered version of the Pilsner Urquell that we were getting when I was taken out to the factory out in Pilsen in Czech Republic. You know, it looks very, very nice. There's a solid finger of a frothy, I would say perfect white head on this one, not even a little bit creamy, and you can see with this beer, in terms of the colour, if I hold up to the light, it does have a lovely kind of hazy quality to it. If I put my fingers behind the glass, you know, it is really quite hazy. This beer, in terms of its appearance, I would say, is a lot more reminiscent of like a Munich Helles, one of these Brauhaus Helles beers that you'll find in Munich, rather than a Pilsner. But at the same time, you know, it is quite reminiscent of the sort of Pilsner style, the unfiltered Pilsner beers that you can get. But it looks very, very nice, and nothing, you know, as I say, it looks to me a little bit more like a Helles. Some people might expect the Pilsner to be clear and things, but you know, it's not overly surprising in terms of its appearance. So yeah, looks the part. Let's see if it smells the part as well. So yeah. Ooh, now this one smells quite nice actually. I'll say with it as well though, you can smell it's not exactly at its freshest. I will say that. So the thing is, it's travelled from New Zealand. It's not going to be in its absolute prime condition. So you have to bear that in mind, particularly in Sweden when we've got the monopoly system here. It does take them longer to get beers on the shelf, unfortunately. So yeah, with this beer, you can smell it's not quite in its prime, but you're still getting a good waft of all these different hops in here. So straight away, the first thing you're going to notice is you can pick out that lovely white, sort of green grapey quality that you get from the Nelson Sauvin. And for me, the sort of limey notes that you would expect from the Motueka are mixing in with that really lovely. Particularly when you sugar the beer up a little bit, you start to get more and more of those lovely kind of limey qualities out of there. There's a little bit of passion fruit in this one as well, and that'll be from the Riwaka that's in here. And it's cool that they use one of their own local hops. You'll find that a lot in that Tasman region. You know, there is a town called Motueka, there's one called Riwaka, and there's also Nelson as well. So all the New Zealand hops tend to be named after different places actually in New Zealand, which is pretty cool. So yeah, and I like the fact that a lot of these places have the old Maori names as well. I think that's really cool. But yeah, take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of this beer. There's definitely another kind of distinctive tropically fruit aroma in there, and I'll be guessing that's the Riwaka that's giving you that. It's really giving you this, as I said, it's supposed to be kumquats that you're going to get with that hop, but it's very difficult to describe. It's almost a little bit orangey, but at the same time it's got a little bit of an almost kind of I think they were saying on the thing lychee. I can definitely see why they would say lychee with it. So I'm guessing the kind of kumquat-y aroma is a little bit orangey, maybe more of a kind of slightly juicier tangerine orange rather, and a little bit of the lychee. It's almost kind of like a cross between that. I need to go to the supermarket and see if I can get a kumquat and just have a taste of it and see what it's like. You know, one of the things you always have to look for when you're doing craft beer reviews and stuff, you're always educating yourself about different hops and different malts and things like this, and it's always good to go and try different fruit juices as well, because then you become quite adept at picking out the different fruity flavours in a lot of these beers, and it's particularly useful when it comes to the New Zealand hops, because there's a whole variety of different fruits that you can get out of them. But yeah, on the green side of the hops then, to me, there's a little bit of floral quality in there. Definitely a good bit of floralness, but you've also got some of that lovely lighter grassy note in there as well. But to me, really nice smelling pils this. It comes across as very fresh. That said, you can smell a little bit in this one that the hops aren't quite at their prime. As I say, it's come from New Zealand, it's come to Sweden where it takes them ages to get beers on the shelf, so that's understandable. But underneath, you can really get some of that lovely kind of crisp Pilsner malt in there. There's a little bit of a biscuity quality there. You can pick out that there's a little bit of pale malt in the base of this beer as well. It's definitely got a little touch of a bready note to it, and it's also got a little bit of that lovely biscuity smoothness and some biscuity sweetness, sorry. It reminds me a little bit of the McVitie's digestives, but it's also got a little bit of the it definitely has a little touch of that kind of Pilsnery crispness to it in the aroma as well. So as I always say, take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck in, but let's have a taste of this one now. So this one is the Hop Federation Pilsner from the Hop Federation Brewery in Riwaka in Aotearoa, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, the South Island of New Zealand. Let's get stuck in. Slàinte, Skull, Chur, as I'm told the New Zealanders say. Oh yeah, that is a really good Pils. If you like these craft takes on Pilsner beers, this is one that you are certainly going to enjoy. And this is exactly what I said, you know, New Zealand, I was lucky to be there in 2015. I think I reviewed around 10 or 15 different New Zealand beers. I think I spent about $120 on 10 bottles of beer or something like that, just because I really wanted to review it. And it certainly didn't disappoint. And again, this is another one that just kind of proves the point about the quality of these New Zealand beers. Yeah, that's just absolutely beautiful. I have to say that about this beer straight away. So whoever it was that gave me the recommendation for this one, I really thank you for that. This is a really good beer. I don't know if it was Resaw or exactly which user it was that gave me the recommendation here, but this one is very nice. I really like what they've done with this. So big thumbs up to Hop Federation for this one. This is a lovely Pils beer, and this is one of the things I've been saying. It's a shame that so many of the craft breweries focus on, you know, the old English styles of beers, the porters, the stouts, the IPAs and stuff like that. Have a go at the German ones as well. You know, try and brew some Dunkels, brew some Doppelbocks and stuff like that, and I think you'll you know, I think you'd find that they do some pretty good stuff. I love the Munich Helles, love the Doppelbocks, these Pilsner beers as well, the Czech lager beers. Have a go at brewing you know, the Chernies, the Letsaks, the Tmavis, you know, have a go at the Svetlis as well, or the other kind. The Czech beers are all lagers, and the Pilsner, you know, is a very, very distinctive style these days, developed by a German brewer, of course, in the Czech city of Pilsen, or you know, that whole region, that kind of Bohemia region. There was a lot of ethnic Germans and stuff living there alongside the ethnic Czechs. Then it kind of got messed up a little bit later on. You know, the history of that region in the world is quite complex, right enough, because of different stuff that's gone on. But you know, these traditional kind of Central European beer styles that you get are absolutely lovely. So I wish that more of these kind of American style craft breweries would start brewing them. Because this is a very good highlight of just what can be done. So let's try and break the flavour of this beer down a little bit more then. So with this one, you can feel straight away a little bit of pale malt just blankets the middle of your tongue. The further into the aftertaste, the further into the flavour you go, rather, you can feel more and more of the kind of crisp Pilsner malts just pushing their way out of this beer. And it's nice how that centre of your palate just kind of dries out a little bit, and you start to feel the more Pilsnery, crisp things coming out of this beer. In the very centre of your palate, you can pick up, there's a nice little bit of a sort of McVitie's digestive sweetness to this beer, which is really, really nice, and I like how that kind of comes across. It's almost just like that little bit of a corn syrupy kind of thing that you get out of this beer. In the back, on the hoppy side of things then, in the back corners of your palate, there's a little tiny touch of earthiness there, but as you come further forward, that just smooths out a little bit. There's almost a little tiny touch of a herbal quality to this one, but kind of quite minimal there. I think it's mainly more of a floral note, but when you come further forward along to the front sides of your palate, you've got a lovely, almost noble kind of hoppy quality coming out of this one. If I remember rightly, the Motuika is somewhat related to the Czech Sats hop. And the Sats, of course, is or the Žatec hop, as they call it in the Czech Republic. It does, you know, it's the Czech hops and the Slovenian hops are very similar in their characteristics. The Polish hops as well, to, you know, the Hallertau, the Tettnanger hops from Germany. They really have that lovely sort of very distinctive floral noble quality about it. And the Motuika, from what I understand, is derived from one of these Sats hops. So you can really get that sort of floral, grassy, noble quality there at the front of your palate. It's definitely kind of nice and light and grassy around the very front curve of your palate. Just a lovely, lovely beer, this one. This one, I think it's fair to say with this beer, it doesn't really do anything overly surprising with the style, but it's just really bloody well done. That's, you know, that's the thing with this beer. If you can copy these styles very, very well, then, you know, you're going to have a good beer. And that's what they're showing here. This one, as I say, nothing overly surprising when you know this is a Pilsner beer, but it's just really damn good, I have to say. I really love this beer. I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this one again. If I sessioned beer, I don't really anymore. Most of the beer I drink is for review purposes these days, because I just love tasting different things. But this is certainly one of the beers that you could very, very easily session. So on the fruity side of things then, as I always say, behind the front curve of the palate you just get that little oily bubble where those juicy fruity esters start to come out of the beer. And for me, this one's really interesting. You've definitely got some of the passion fruity notes coming out from the Riwaka hop in there. And on top of that, you can feel the sort of green grapey notes from the Nelson Sauvin. They come out a little bit further forward on the palate. The passion fruity notes for me are just sitting further towards the back of that oily bubble that I was talking about. But there's also just almost right on the tip of your tongue, there's some of the more limey notes from the Motuika, and they're kind of mixing in a little bit with those sort of noble grassy flavours that I was talking about earlier on as well. I'm not sure, they were saying on the can a bit of lychee. I could pick that up in the aroma, but not so much in the flavour actually. I would definitely kind of say this one is, you know, this one is just, to sum up this beer, it's just a really bloody good Pilsner. They're not doing anything overly surprising with the style, it just is really, really well made, and it's got some of these lovely New Zealand hoppy qualities to it. So yeah, have a go at it for yourself and just see what you think, but it gets a huge thumbs up for me, and I do thank Race, or whoever it was actually that recommended this one to me. You know, it's really cool to get recommendations like this on the channel. And again, if you do know any other good craft takes on Pilsners, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see if I can get a hold of them. So yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel of this beer then, you know, nice little bit of a Kind of nice little bit of crispness to it. It's definitely a light-bodied beer, this one, which is what you would expect from a Pilsner. So good little bit of crispness from the carbonation in there. It does have a little bit of an activity. The mouthfeel is kind of quite wet, I would say, in this one. It definitely has a nice kind of refreshing, wet, crisp quality to the beer. Nice little bit of hoppy bitterness. I think this one, if you're lucky, it's about 30 IBUs. It's somewhere kind of in that region. It's not going to blow your head off by any means in terms of its IBU count. But the malt base has a really good balance between the crispness, the sweetness and the smoothness in there as well. It does have a little bit of that kind of almost unfiltered, smooth quality to it, this one, but some lovely juicy fruity esters in there as well, which is typical of the New Zealand hops, of course. But yeah, just a really, really well done Pilsner beer, this one. Nothing overly surprising with the style, just really bloody well done. So a huge thumbs up to Hop Federation Brewery once again. I'd love to review some more of their beers, but the difficult thing, of course, in Europe is actually getting these things fresh. So yeah, I just need to go back to New Zealand and try and review a lot of the different craft beers there. What a shame, of course. So yeah, that's definitely a plan for the next couple of years. So we'll leave it at that for this one. And just a really, really good beer, and one that I recommend that you have a taste of, particularly if you like these craft takes on the old German and Czech styles of beer. So yeah, this one, the Pilsner from Hop Federation Brewery in Riwaka, Aotearoa in New Zealand. Really just very, very well done, and thank you again to whoever it was that gave me the recommendation for this one. So yeah, once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from the Hop Federation Brewery as well, and I'm sure I'll return to these guys at some point in the fairly near future. This is a damn good beer, and if you like these traditional German styles of beer, then have a go at this one. So until the next time, Slàinte just now, and I'll catch you guys later. The Pilsner from Hop Federation Brewery in Riwaka on Aotearoa in New Zealand. Slàinte, skål, cheer.